hungry for it, man. You know I gotta get it. I hit the ground running. You know I gotta get it. I see that money coming. You know I gotta get it. I gotta get it, yeah, I gotta get it. Whatever's necessary, you know I gotta get it. Bullshit is secondary, you know I gotta get it. They say we legendary, you know I gotta get it. I gotta get it, yeah, I gotta get it.
This is homeboy Maul the Pimp, aka MTP, and welcome to another edition of the Pimpaholic TV podcast. I got a very special guest in this motherfucker today, living motherfucking legend who y'all just heard. I'm talking about the nigga Young Bleed. Welcome to Pimpaholic TV, and how you doing, my man?
Pretty good, man. Appreciate y'all welcoming me on, Maul, man. You know, much love, respect, success, and God bless. But yeah, man, rocking and rolling, coming off that road, getting back to the pad, getting ready to go out some more in a minute, man. So yeah, it's going down.
Where you coming from, man? Where you coming from?
Jacksonville, Mississippi. About a couple. I say, look, I'm tripping. I thought I was going to Jackson, Mississippi, but it was really Jacksonville, Florida. You know, shouts out to my guy Ridge out that way. My man Val, we had a good time at Club Bottoms Up. You know what I mean? You know, I stayed a couple of days, then I got some family. My uncle Jawan lives out that way, man. So you know, it was cool being able to go out that way, come back a couple of days before that, Cincinnati, Ohio, at the Mad Frog for the third time this year. So I appreciate that. And about a week before that, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So I did the north to the south, man, in less than a month. You know what I mean? Getting ready to go to Macon, Georgia on the 26th, man. So yeah, we rolling out here.
Still making moves, bro. Still hustling. That's what I'm talking about. Hey, scoot close to the screen so I can see your whole face.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, there we go, yeah. Yeah, man, I'm glad you mentioned that, man, because you're still doing shows, you're still afloat, you're still relevant, man.
Yes, sir.
Let's go back to the beginning, man. For people to know, where were you born and raised at?
Well, you know, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, raised in South Baton Rouge, you know, Earl K. Long Hospital, you know, around the Glen Oaks area, yeah, but I'm born and raised South Baton Rouge, man. Yes, sir.
So before the music, man, just speak on life growing up in Baton Rouge. How did you come up, man? You know what I'm saying?
You know, I say I had a good life, a beautiful life, but, you know, surrounded by everything else that was in families and dysfunctional families, you know, ghetto to ghetto. So, you know, I had that aspect of life. I learned to balance on the in-between. So we can go, you know, dark side, light side, you know, depending on, you know, what direction you want to go with it. But just like anybody else, man, hard times, trouble, small town, and, you know, slight opportunity. So, you know, I had a God-blessed game, man, and musical family, a real family that I learned a lot from, and street family and surrounding areas and in the community. So, you know, I picked from off all, you know, like infinite trees and kind of shaped and mold myself into what I am today as a rapper. But yeah, like I say, so many ways.
Gotcha. I got to give a shout out to my sponsor, the Chattanooga Cigar Club. Again, the Chattanooga Cigar Club. Let me tell you all about the Chattanooga Cigar Club. The Chattanooga Cigar Club is Chattanooga's premier cigar and hookah lounge, open Thursday through Sunday with ladies free on Friday and live music up until 10 o'clock. Keep in mind, you can also rent the building for your own events from Sunday through Wednesday. Shout out to my guys D. Scott and Kurt at the Chattanooga Cigar Club. For more information, log on to ChattanoogaCigarClub.com. Again, salute to my sponsor, the Chattanooga Cigar Club. Much love. Yeah. All right, now, so when did rap come into your life, man? When did you start, and what led to that?
Well, like everybody else, man, you know, about 79, I was listening to the Sugar Hill Gang and anything else that was coming out of New York. But the first commercial, a mainstream kind of record between them and Curtis Blow and whatever just was music, period. But somewhere around 82, 83, I took it, you know, I caught it as a glitch. By the time Run DMC would come out and different things like that. So fourth grade really for me, 9 years old, you know, I put the pen to the pad, and probably like the year before that, I was just juggling with things and freestyling. But I had to learn how to shape my craft into written words, you know what I mean? So yeah, that took some years of constructing. But we had a poetry teacher like in the fourth grade, man. She came through and taught us how to write poems. And I had, you know, aunts and uncles that wrote poetry. Right. And my mama read me Dr. Seuss, you know, since the embryo. So I always, that RAP, you know, rhythm and poetry. I've been playing the drums since like 4 or 5 years old. Shouts out to my uncle in Jacksonville, Florida. That's the man taught me how to play congas, bongas, and a whole set, you know what I mean, by the time I was 5. So rap being rhythm and poetry, yeah, I tell everybody I was born this way, man. But yeah, pen to the pad, 1983, man. 9 years old, 4th grade, long time.
Before the world heard of you, did you have a release out that was underground that I guess was buzzing in your city that we probably don't know about?
Yeah, man, when I was about 16, 17, I used to sell tapes, you know what I mean, on the block in the high school, the mom and pop stores, you know, and on the corners we hustled on. You know, I sold underground tapes. Shouts out to Mike B, you know what I mean, Tar Stir, them OGs before me. That took me in as a youngster and started to put, you know what I mean, that part of production and hand distribution, you know what I mean, in my life for us.
Right.
Tape, you know, I was always hustling and selling something, you know, here or there, but I took that back to my community and somewhere like with the early 90s, 90, 91, I had a tape called Much Love, you know, that we used this arcade sample everybody in the town loved, and it was my first joint on the radio ever. So being that young, being on the radio and, you know what I mean, top-notch service from the neighborhood to wherever we was doing shows and talent shows, was my underground breaking for us. You know, I have been recording since like 11, but having my own tape somewhere around 16 or something like that.
All right.
Yeah, and I hustling and shop for that. Yeah, so long for this. Yeah, man.
Now, speak on the relationship. How did the relationship come about with C-Loc in the concentration camp? He was buzzing up here back in the day. I'm talking about, like some of my favorite shit was like my Thug Belt, Outlaw, Shit Real. You know what I'm saying? We was on that shit up here. So speak on how him, Max Minelli, Lil Boosie, all that shit. Speak on how that came together.
Okay, well, really, that's kind of like 3 different stories. I try to be brief.
All right.
Me and Loc, for us, you know, part of the origin for C-Loc Records, and you know, the homie Lee Time that everybody forget about. But Lee Time, they was like sidekicks and neighbors in the neighborhood, I guess, since kids. It was a certain time I moved out of South Baton Rouge and I grew up on another side of town. You know, shouts out to the Mayfair East Side, the Mayfair North Side, Gardier Lane on the in-between, you know, and the family broke up, you know. I lived where Mama lived and back and forth in the community. When my grandparents were still alive, I still be in South Baton Rouge. So me and Loc was homeboys, but we didn't become homeboys till probably about middle school. We went to 2 different elementary schools, so I didn't know him in the elementary school time. He didn't know me. So some kind of way in life, we ended up going to the same middle school, Kenilworth Middle. And, you know, for whatever reason, we recognized each other, and definitely from the neighborhood we was from. We started talking about, you know, becoming rappers and DJs at that earlier age. And his whole thing was he wanted to be a DJ. So around the school, that was our thing. I was the rapper, he was the DJ. I used to battle from elementary school and middle school, you know, lunchtime and what have we. So I was always the rapper. So like I said, a few years later, until I would later end in teenage years, somewhere like that. Like I say, about 16, 17 for me, song on the radio, I'm selling tapes. We still live. I moved back to the community somewhere about 16 years old, and then eventually on my own. So I see him, he'll see me, and he was working on, well, before he was working on a project, I want to say I actually sold him a tape, you know what I mean, Alaska Lawrence apartment, man. So I sold him a tape because he was still living over there, and just let him know I was still doing the same thing since we talked about since middle school. So, you know, we both, you know, had our streets, you know, our foot opposite side of the street in the game hustling. He was doing his thing, I was doing mine. And somewhere around 93, 94, he come to me and started a label, which was C-Loc Records, and just, you know, put me up on what he had been doing, you know what I mean? And by this time, we went from CDs to tapes. I had tapes, you see what I'm saying? When he come out, he had the CD, you know what I mean? Probably one of the first in the hood with CDs. You know, shouts out to Super Slim and the record crew, my big cousin, them that was making records in 12 inches and, you know, whole albums before us when you're just talking South Baton Rouge. But C-Loc Records evolved right when CDs was evolving. So he had the kind of color paper, you know what I mean? The color, and it was, you know, I don't know if he was going through pen and pixel or whatever at the time. But when I was selling tapes, I didn't have a cover. It was just a white cover, you see what I'm saying?
White label,
yeah. White label, yeah. So, you know, the game was changing. I remember, you know, trying to sell them, you know, sell the tapes to some of the, you know, the dope boys in the hood. And, you know, guys that spin with me, but they'll say, man, I ain't have a tape player no more. I got a CD player, you know what I mean? So right in that middle part, he developed on C-Loc Records. And fortunately, right at the end of him recording the first the first album was Who's Gonna Ride. You know, I came along, he brought me in the studio to hear what he had been doing and wanted me to ghostwrite a song for one of the last songs, which ended up being the song Never Say Die. So my first time really ghostwriting, you know, all 3 verses, me, him, and Lee Time. That song, they give me an instrumental, I believe he produced or Lee Time produced. And it became phenomenon in the city after his Wood record, you know what I mean, was a big record. So he was starting to build a name for himself, and then I started to ride with him again, like as a sidekick. And you know, he was rapping now versus being a DJ in school. So, you know, a whole lot of game and different things. So we started to reformulate our dreams since little boys in middle school, but for real this time. So, you know, that went in whatever direction it did, you know, good or bad, right or wrong. But we're talking Max Minelli. I knew Max when he was like about 11 years old, but I never saw him in life. You know, we didn't have like cell phones now, how me and you doing this Zoom and FaceTime and all that. You know, that didn't exist, you know what I mean? So I had a phone relationship with him for about 2 years. I make beats for him through the phone. He'll rap him, you know, when he come home from school every day, whatever his new rap was, he was so dope and fly as a youngster. I was looking for who would come after me. You know, I'll come after them, who gonna come after me.
Right.
Just a while before Boosie, and we was looking for that in the neighborhood. Me and Boosie being family, same block, same hood, and he would have been the BG, you know, after me being the young G under the OGs, Loc being a year older than me, Silver Slim a few years before us, so that's just, you know, coming out your roots. But speaking Max, I met him finally at 13 years old. He had some family in Baton Rouge. He grew across the river and a few other places. And on behalf of a couple of his family members that I went to school with, you know what I mean, they put us together. And from that, we made underground tapes and different things like that we sold on the corner in high school and middle school and so on and so forth. So the same street hustle applied to the rap hustle. So somewhere along the line, like I say, once me and Loc reunited, and we was building on towards C-Loc Records. He was looking for a few extra acts and different things like that, so I turned them on each other. You see what I'm saying? And once other guys came under the umbrella, it wasn't just C-Loc Records or just him doing a solo album all the time. I said we need to come up with a clicolation name that define all of us. And which, you know, with me being born June 6th, you know what I mean, on D-Day officially, you know, I kind of studied the Holocaust and all that type of thing my whole life, the Diary and Frank song, so forth. So, and looking at the old logo of the WC and the Mad Circle, you know, shouts out to Dub C and Coolio at the time, rest in peace. The Crazy Tunes, you know, I was a Dub C fan since Low Profile, him and DJ Aladdin, just a West, you know, when hip hop was evolving to the West, I love the West like I love the East. And long story short, that I looked at the logo to WC and the Mad Circle, which was about the earth and the barbed wire fence. So it looked like a concentration camp to me in that sense. So I kind of incorporated all that. You know what I'm talking about? So that type of thing that became our clicolation and family name, and we all just kind of rooted and routed from there. Then years later, you know, Boosie would come along. But yeah, we all come from that concentration camp.
All right, now the song "How You Do That There," you, C-Loc, Master P. How did that song come about? I originally heard there was a solo song of yours, and then P got added. That's what I originally heard. But how did that song come about? Then it ended up going to the Ballad soundtrack. Speak on that relationship and how that and where that went.
Well, okay, just like everything else later in life, P and Loc connect some kind of way. So as we was building the concentration camp, everything else we kind of background a C-Loc record, I featured on it. So for the first time, we did a compilation that gave everybody a chance to do their own joint on it. So me, personally, you know, mentally and spiritually, it was something that was in my head that I produced and eventually laid the drums down physically and was honored and pleased to have a producer. You know, we brought a new producer in, which was Happy Perez, which was Mexican, so to give us the different twist. He was really the producer for Max Minelli and Jay Vaughn with the group Lay Low. That was their group. But I record with them. We knew each other's parents, and we, you know, back room, you know what I mean, underground, you know, type of tape recordings we'll do from my mama crib to their mama crib to Max mama crib, and, you know, anywhere we could plug up a system we recorded, you know, still records that's unreleased for life and some lost and gone. But just in that pleasant of just enjoying each other's company as people, and then in a hip hop kind of culture, it was just kind of like New York down there. We had our own cipher and freestyle into the night until we started recording records. But with that record, man, Happy really produced it. Rather me the producer, he the co-producer, or vice versa, originally. And that was my solo joint that I wanted on the record, you know what I mean? With a combination of Parliament, Earth, Wind and Fire, Aretha Franklin. You know, as a kid, I was kind of a DJ too, but I just never DJ for nobody personally. So I always deal and mix my pop records. I had 2 turntables. So, you know, I kind of lived like a Bronx, Brooklyn nigga, but in the South. You know what I mean? Yeah, I was pop, lock, breakdance, beatbox battles. Yeah, since kids, you know, that type of thing. So, you know, the gangster twist as far as being what South Baton Rouge was, but you had kind of the guys that could see you in the pop lock battle, and I'll beatbox you, and the fight come with that, and whatever. I mean, so I grew like that, you know, hip hop in a southern way. For Pimp-a-Coin, I would turn country rap tunes, you know what I'm saying? But being a country, in the city, backwood kind of guy, you know, having the best of those worlds, and I had the East and the West to study from. And, you know, shouts out to one of my cousins used to go to New York every year. I record everything in advance. So I was probably one of the first to hear Marlon Marr, DJ Red Alert, Mr. Magic, Eric B. and Rakim, MC Shan. So I have records that guys in Baton Rouge didn't have. So I was shaping my skills in that pattern for them. But back to what we were saying, man, Hap produced that joint, man. It started to take off phenomenally. You know, shouts out to Jewel Jackson, 94.1 radio. You know, it was 2 radio stations at one time, an AM station, WXOK, and Q106, you know, was our FM station. But me and Jewel went back to, he became one of the main DJs at 94.1. Like he always wanted to, you know, be that type of radio personality and DJ. But before then, he used to run commercials for this underground station that was across the river from Baton Rouge in the city called Port Allen or Plaquemine, either one of those. So, you know, well, my parents, knowing the type, you know, kid I was, certain older folks that I trust me to go with, you know what I mean, overnight and different things like that, especially when my music was concerned. So Jewel was one of the few guys that I can go spend a night with across the river at the radio station, you see what I'm saying, and watch him put in a commercial, then we'll work on our records. But with him being a good friend of mine like that, and friend of my family, once he got into 94.1, I was able to slip him the record and then do a certain remix for him and all that. So the record became #1 in Baton Rouge, then eventually surrounding area, and it was taken off. So as P was evolving into the body, all that just kind of fell into the same mesh. You see what I'm saying? He heard the record, I liked it, you know, offered me a situation to do a remix, which with the world famously is the remix with me and P and C-Loc. You know, you listen to it close in the beginning, you'll hear that and said that. But a lot of people miss that and think that's the original song. And I always thought and hoped that I could put that original song on my solo record, but due to different things that was taking place, we wasn't able to release that. So if they got it from the concentration camp or 9 days, it's all over the internet. The original song is titled A Fool, because when I made it, I said, hey man, you know what people gonna say when they hear this? That's a fool. That's what I'm gonna call it. You know what I mean? But also shouts out to King T, man, the company, man, with the Actor Fool album. So here again, being East Coast, West Coast, and definitely down south, the Ghetto Boys, the Luke Skywalker, and all the in between. So, you know, I'm a hip hop connoisseur. So it's different zones, different time frames, and levels for me. But summing it all up, you know, I put all that kind of in the one gumbo pot. And when I got my chance to do my thing, that's how I wanted you know, the world to interpret me. So yeah.
What's up? What's up? I got to give a special shout out to my sponsor, the M Group LLC. Let me tell y'all about the M Group LLC. The M Group LLC is an independent distribution company that offers essential services such as internet, home security, energy, identity protection, wireless, and more. Secure your homes and businesses. Get a free consultation from my homegirl, Miss Nori. Email the mgroupllc@gmail.com to schedule your appointment. You can also visit www.isnorinori.com. Click the services tab to check out all the deals that they offer. Salute to my sponsor, the M Group LLC. Much love. Y'all go check them out.
All right, so now, How You Do That There goes on the Battle soundtrack, which goes however many times platinum.
Yeah, man.
Now, the world knows Young Bleed. Speak on how life, speak on how shit changed when you went from being an underground rapper to now being a part of this big situation. What was the lifestyle change, or what did you see different? You know what I'm saying?
Man. I remember my partner David Banner kind of explaining this to me. He said, bro, for us in the country, and to this day, I still haven't been to New York. Got a lot of New York friends and family, the OG rappers, and, you know, Dougie Fresh, Daddy Kane. But I done live close in certain parts of the East Coast, but it always be a snow blizzard when I get invited or something, you know, that kept me out of that. But eventually, you know, that's on my bucket list. You know, I got to get to New York. But anyway, David Banner was describing to me how fast people moved in New York compared to people in the South. You see what I'm saying? And so it's kind of like a mere glimpse of that, me going from baby Baton Rouge to Los Angeles, California. We call Louisiana baby LA, just like they call Los Angeles that LA, and that's one city, but for our whole state. You know what I mean? It's just baby LA. So going out there and just kind of stepping out into the pond, from a pond into the ocean. Right. So catching up with the pace of California. I was 22 years old. The same year the Body soundtrack came out, what was the summer of '97 or something like that. I signed my deal 3 months after the murder of Notorious Big, a few blocks away from where it happened, 6 months after Tupac. So I'm a kid still just entering California in that time zone with all that happening. You see what I'm saying? Right. So it was a crazy balance, you know what I mean? And as any other human being, you got your fears. And my fear was like, staying out of street situation was one thing, but it blowing your mind and blowing your way is another. People died, heart attacks, strokes, and all that. It was kind of too big for me. You see what I'm saying? Like what they call culture shock. Mm-hmm. So I had to get my feet on the ground before I really started smoking in California and having a drink. I had to be able to look around. It was a whole nother world. Right. So with that on one shoulder, it was a beautiful thing on the other. Anything I wanted, whatever I needed, oh man, it was a phone call or me telling somebody to tell the next somebody. So my life dream had came true. You don't get no greater than that. Priority Records, the home of Eazy-E and Ice Cube, NWA, you know what I mean? Even Jay-Z, first gold record of Reasonable Doubt. So when I walk off the elevator, I see all the plaques and that big sign. So when they hit this for real, you see what I mean? Right, in the CNN building, Sunset Boulevard. So at that whole rapid pace, I had to succumb to that real fast. And thank God overall being a guide and everybody that was involved that kept me balanced and taught me what to do, from the street guys to the rappers to the promoters to the executives. Like I said, I had God bless game, man. So it was a beautiful time. Yes, sir.
1998, you released your debut album, My Balls, My Word, on No Limit / C-Loc Records / Priority.
Yeah, man.
Now, classic album, push play from beginning to end. Now, you featured on one of the biggest songs. From there, you get your own situation, and you put your own album out. What's the feeling at that time, bro? Because now it's about you. It's not y'all, now it's your shit. Now, what's the feeling at that time, bro?
Added to how we was just speaking. From that, it's just greater and greater. I wake up from a hotel room one day, wiping my eyes out, and didn't even have breakfast. 6, 7 in the morning. It's a big ass yacht, a mansion on the beach, a Bentley. Oh wow, you know what I mean? It's cool. It's not mine. I don't rightfully own it, but this is my video. You see what I'm saying? Right. Put together. All I had to do was show up and play the part. So I want to say that I might have was in Malibu, California. I might be mistaken, but somewhere off the ocean. I remember being so far from land, we didn't see no land. All I saw was fields and seaweed. You see what I'm saying? So it's a real term, it's real, true facts when they say, you can get seasick. So that's what I did without eating properly and all that. I didn't sell their ferry boats back home and different stuff like that. But in the middle of that ocean, and trying to balance through a video, we drank a Dom Perignon, smoking. I'm doing what I do every day on a solid ground. But, I need the boat to be solid. It ain't gonna never stop. So,
fucking with you,
imagine that, you know what I mean? Girls everywhere, anything, a young rapper or whatever you could dream was right there. but at that fast pace, but learning your life balance at the same time. I tossed up, got myself together, went and ate some saltine crackers or something like that, and finished the video. So, you know, a lot of people think this all fun and games, but it's like you got to go to a training camp to be prepared for. Yeah, what's gonna go next? Shouts out to Corrupt from the Dog Pound. He said a lot of people, we'll talk about this. A lot of people can't handle success. We all say what we're gonna do when we get it, but you ain't never had it, so you don't know what you're gonna really do and have to do. So all that was taking place at one time in milliseconds. Right. So we got through it. Everything was beautiful. You know, rest in peace to Tiny Lister, man.
Debo.
Yeah, Debo, that's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, but that day, if you see, when you look at that video, you see here in the video, we hung out with him. Yeah, he was a real humble guy, real, you know, opposite of his character. And we was able to have conversation. He took to me, I took to him. So, you know, it hurt my heart that, you know, I didn't even see that coming when I saw that he, you know, passed away. But I had to mention that, you know, with him coming out and having that cameo and being the person he was, you know, I'm still in my head of nobody. I'm growing into my, you know, local ghetto celebrity into, you know, worldwide fame with those type of people that's there to show their love and support. So here again, rest in peace to Tiny Lister, man. Yeah. But that fast and rapid pace, man, just catching on to the game. And like I say, from where a guy like Pac and Big had left the game, what you do from here. So, you know, I still had to balance. I still got to make records and not be a one-hit wonder, you know what I mean?
True.
A lot of people think once that happens, you kick your feet up. If it wasn't real work before then, that's where the real work began, man. 90% business, 10% talent. So, you know, with all that on the scale, I'm still here to be sharing this with you this day, man. I ain't got nothing but good thanks and God blessings, man. So, yeah, all the way around.
I'm glad you said that 90% business, 10% talent. I want you to speak on that. Before I get to that, okay, after My Balls, My Word, you came out in 2000 with My Own.
Yes, yeah.
And you came out in 2002 with Corleone's Vintage. 2005, Rise Through the Ranks. 2007, Once Upon a Time in America. 2011, Preserve. Album after album. Now, going back to this 90% business, 10% talent. Knowing what you know now, speak on the difference between independent and major, because that comes under the business term right there. A lot of artists want to sign to get an upfront advance and get on TV, get the video, and then they find out a few years later that, damn, I didn't even know what publishing, copyrights, and ownership meant. I didn't know what point losses meant. I didn't know that. I thought when I got this little money up front, something's going to come on the back end, but this is all I'm getting up front. And I'm still stuck into a contract for 5 more albums. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Educate people on that, man. People need to know.
Man, you said about four when you said that. Because my whole thing coming in the game, I actually went from being an artist on C-Loc Records, which is my homeboy. So, of course, we ain't do no upfront money and all that. He was helping me build. I got down with him and signed a contract with him, you know, to be the first artist off of C-Loc Records. So in the midst of that, everything else evolved. Okay, so I went from being an artist from a local Baton Rouge record company to now I'm signed, you know, all but the same Ice Cube deal that Ice Cube had when he left NWA and way in California. So I went to that, you know, mini major, whatever you consider, you know, it's a whole lot that breakdown. The majors, the mini majors, and you know what I mean, subsidiary companies and so on and so forth. But long story short, I signed to Priority and that whole hopes of, and just like any other kid, I used to dream young, hey man, one day somebody's gonna give me $1 million for a record deal. And some people still believe that. It's like the movie Superfly, more like the soundtrack. Your money gonna come by and by. Little bit here for the work you put in, little bit more, whoop, whoop, whoop. And by the time you tied it up, you might have ran over $1 million budget. Right. You expect the money to continue coming. This gonna stay like I made it. It's gonna stay like this forever. You see what I'm saying? That kick your feet up point that people think and dream about. But when I come in the game, that's exactly what they told me. Hey man, you know, this is 90% business, 10% talent. And I was offended at first because I felt like that's how much y'all give a fuck about. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Nah, you know, it was like, you know, they explained to me, nah, that ain't what we saying. I had to understand what it take for a person to sit at a computer. That's manual labor. What it take to print up the paper that to even tell the world you exist, let alone on a billboard, on a tape cover, what have we. That's business, and all that costs money. So I learned to respect the business. You know, I'm born artist first, but I grew into a young exec. I'm a CEO now, you know, nowadays with my label and so on and so forth. But I had to learn, and not that I didn't have a respect for the business. It was still being uneducated or ignorant to the fact. You see what I'm saying? Ain't nothing wrong with being ignorant to nothing. The key is to have the will to want to know. You see what I'm saying? So I took my licks across the head and went through it like college. You know, I was a guy who was supposed to go to college, dropped out of high school, never felt the grade. But like I said, we talking direction. My direction was shift to more like a street college into a corporate college, into the world and what I have been here again, born. I'm talking RAP again, rapping. I've been doing this since I was born, but you don't know the world you born into till you grown enough or more mature enough to recognize, okay, this is a cycle. I have to master this cycle. So it's keep your thinking cap on, stay in school, you know what I mean? Do your homework. So that part of the 90% business, I recommend that to everybody now, man. You know, read Donald S. Pass, man, all you need to know about the music business. And there's several other books, but that was one of the first books I picked up when I got in the game, you know what I mean? The Art of War and different things like that, Behold the Pale Horse. My papa used to tell my brother this all the time. Hey, man, you want to play the game and don't read the instructions. You got to read the instructions and have a chance at winning. Everybody can get beginner luck at one time, but to know the game before you get in and don't jump in the middle of the ocean without checking the perimeter. You see what I'm saying?
Sure.
So that's the whole thing. Yeah, man.
Now, another thing I want you to speak on, man, listen to this, man, networking and building relationships. I tell so many artists in my city, some listen, some don't. Man, listen, you have to network, you have to build relationships. You can't pay for a solid relationship. A good relationship will take you further than any dollar amount will. You know what I'm saying? And I try to preach to the people that. So you being an artist who's been independent, been major, back to independent, speak on how important it is to network and build relationships and how they can keep you afloat.
Man, the whole name of the game is it ain't what you know, it's who you know. And like how you just mentioned in the same but different way. You can't buy love. You can't buy friendship. You can buy yes, man. People come around and take your money. But who gonna really be there and keep your best interests at heart and tell you when you're doing good, when you're falling down? And you know what I mean? And some of us have a tendency to get big-headed where they can't hear nothing. So this goes so many ways from a spiritual, mental, and physical connection. So love the ones you with, you know what I mean, at the end of the day, and recognize that, you know, you're real people. Other than that, like I say, it ain't what you know, it's who you know in this game. You know what I mean? Money, everything. And sometimes when you don't have money, people come through and crack doors open. Just don't forget where you come from and who looked out for you. That who you step on your way to the top, you're going to have to face them on your way down. So don't burn no bridges.
Best believe it. You best believe it. Best believe it. Mm-hmm. And then let's talk about how now you from the old school era. I ain't gonna say old school era. You from I'm gonna say the real era. You know what I'm saying? You from the era.
Yeah, the new old school. Yeah, we lightweight.
I don't want to use the old school. That I don't like that. You from the original era. Now the song structure has changed now. Now anybody who's an artist, when you see what's going on now, it's not even about talent no more. It's about like you come up with a catchy hook and a hot beat, and that shit'll fly. Back in the day, you really had to have talent. You really had to be able to rap and have lyrical ability to get signed. You know what I'm saying? Like for example, back in the day, some of the hottest songs didn't even have a hook. Number one song, Ghetto Boys, Mind Playing Tricks on Me. The hook was the beat. Ice Cube, Today Was a Good Day. The hook was the beat. So if the song has no hook, what's making it number one is the lyrical content in the song. You know what I'm saying? It got to be talking about something. Now you can have a hot hook and be saying shit in the song and it goes number one. So speak on, from you being an artist who wrote lyrics, speak on what worked back then versus what is accepted now. You know what I'm saying?
I'll give you this example. I remember, you know, when Wayne was doing all the Carter records, and Wayne is a homeboy of mine from, you know, we being 45 minutes up the street and the whole Cash Money clique as well, there's no limit. Right. We had, you know, the privilege to meet each other somewhere on the line. But I remember when they was having a back and forth with Jay-Z. I watched, Baby interview to, whatever Wayne said, Jay-Z on the In Between, being the fan, the student still to the game, and staying current with what's going on. But I remember Jay saying this, hey man, how you feel about Wayne being the best rapper they saying in comparison to you? He said, well, you know what? That's based on opinion. You see what I'm saying? So when we talk about this imitation of invisible MC crown, that aim come with New York being the mecca of the hip hop, and everybody want to be number one. You supposed to, whatever you in. Right. Rakim, I forget the name of the song. I don't know if it's called No Competition or whatever. With something I learned along the way, it really is no competition but yourself. You got to keep yourself in here, and it's all based upon everybody and definitely the fans' opinion. I tell people I ain't interested in making homeboy records or records for me. I want to please God first, and if the people like it, then, it's message of prophecy, you know what I mean? If you're speaking truth. So when you talk those records, those are good stories, rather fact or fiction. Give you that vivid, a graphic look into the writer. And if you ever sit down and attempt to write something, then you recognize and respect what it takes for a writer or producer ever to even bring this vision to life. Right. And it line up like it do, you know what I mean? So that's what's divine about it. But yeah, it's just with the records now, it's just, it's not even so much as the rappers, they play a part, do what you want to do. The one thing in the Constitution, and the one thing that keep us going on anything else, and especially being black born from the streets and dope dealing and killing and what have we, is the freedom of speech clause that's in the Constitution. You got the right to say and do what you want to do. So I dig that at the end of the day. I'm not with everything that's going down, but to each his own. That's just life in general. You don't like everything. Some shit for you, some shit ain't for you. So, but the political side of the game, the people that's opening the chambers and allowing these records out and fueling these records. You see what I'm saying? It's beyond 1 million artists throughout the world. You see what I'm saying? Definitely in hip hop and other genres of music. But it's who opening up the floodgates and allowing this type of music, and what's the reason behind it. So there's so many conspiracy theories and all that. I don't try to get too deep with it. I just peep game. But that's more where it's at. If I'm a kid, we go back to, let's say, Soulja Boy records, when everybody was coming down on him. I'm like, that's a kid that found music in his psyche, however God talked to him, and he come up with something that was able to feed him, his mother, and whoever else from his living room. So you have to respect that at the end of the day. And in that age, Jonda, maybe that's what the kids is on. I used to look at this and say, hey man, my rap is not crafty enough for where I wanted to be lyrically, with Rakim being my favorite rapper since a kid. I had to say, damn, I got it. And he'll drop another record and I'll feel 100 years behind, like I don't know nothing. Right. Then I had to recognize it from this standpoint. You know what? I'm in junior high, if not a freshman in high school, and he already in the 12th grade. We ain't the same age, we ain't the same person. So our mind is competition and all the beefs and all that old bullshit that do what the devil do to divide the game, divide and conquer the game. We mow at each other, get rich and die. Half of these young rappers just coming out now, I don't catch on to them, to right before they die, when they dead. I ain't had a chance to enjoy them, sit down, listen to so much going on. So I do everything to in my sense, to try to stay away from it, or how the term go, you stay out the way, you ain't got to get out the way. And that's OG from a lot of OGs for me. But at the end of the day, like I said, it's to each his own. Everybody got the right to make their music how they feel like making it. But we get ridiculed as the artist before people look behind the curtain or look up at who put in the screen. So whatever you got to do to survive, like Richard Pryor say, any nigga that's doing whatever you got to do to survive, I'm happy for any nigga doing anything, right? So first and foremost, and that's not being biased or racist toward anything. I got to look at myself and who I am in the mirror. And anything, and America is definitely mixed blood. So it's all, back to that family, that humanity family. It's all about that. So here again, to each his own. But, it goes so many ways, man. It's hard to put it in a box. But that the other side of the game, you know, the powers that be, that's allowing, you know, it's a lot of talent into the underground. I feel like maybe it should be underground, mainstream, to feel like you made it or what have we. But I say music is music at the end of the day. Do what you do, get in where you fit in. You know what I mean?
All right, but you done had a long career, bro.
Yeah.
Give me a 1 or 2 moments that just stand out that you like, man, like I take this memory for life right here. You know what I'm saying?
Wow, that's a lot of them, man. Like I say, you know, signing was one. Seeing my videos on TV, being in the basement, being on Keenan Ivory Wayans show. You know what I mean?
Okay.
A lot came with it. And the funny thing, still to this day, man, we talking 20 plus years later. You know, going into another January, which, you know, January '98. Bars of My Word debuted to the world. So, you know, I count it like New Year's every year. You know, I celebrate that with them myself, and people help me celebrate around the world. So it's still, man, that's what's phenomenal to me. I you know, I do all my new records, and, you know, you went through the catalog, so on and so forth, but I cannot go to a place, and people, if you know me or don't know me, the song is more famous than me. Then you might recognize Dr. P, then No Limit, and you have to really be a Young Bleed fan to understand, you know, the whole fundamentals of, hey, man, that's really the guy behind that's his record.
Right.
And then P always say that, you know, he put the record out, but it's our record, and we all know that from the inside, and it ain't nothing to that, but just so the people know. So I'm always the fly on the wall. If you know me, I'm gonna say what's up. If you don't, I'm gonna still treat you as people. But I'm still flipping out on people, flipping out on me. You know what I mean? This day and time. So,
it's still humbling. It's still humbling to you.
Yeah.
Yes,
sir.
All right, you got a new project out, man. Signs and Wonders, man.
Yes, sir. You up on that? Yes, sir. Good looking.
Yeah, man. I do my research. You know, what can I say, bro? I do my research, man. Speak on that, man. Speak on that, man.
Really, man, you know, I'm always setting something to go next. You know what I mean? Revitalizing my label and all. But just a few months back, you know, I've been good friends and family with rapper, promoter, and so many has my guy Chuck at Work Clothes out in the Indianapolis area, Indiana, and his producer partner Grimes. So some way, coming off a show on the whim a few months before I did a show back in Kansas City a few months back, he pitched the idea to for me to do an EP, and let's see what it do. You know what I mean? Without really no mass promotion, just put the record out for where the game changed, you know, where the direction of the game is going now. And that's something I always wanted to do for years, do an EP, and I had never did one. Okay. So I stuck up, you know what I mean, what was going on, you know, as far as the COVID and everything as a sign of times and that type of thing. And a thought just came to me, and I was like, you know, anywhere I went, I was able to go to a church in Ohio with some friends and family out there, you know, after the night I did a show, and went just like I was dressed, and it was the Come As You Are church. And it was a female pastor. She mentioned Signs and Wonders. My mother gave me a song, Signs and Wonders. And so that was in my psyche. So, and that's how I always do a song. God give me a vision, a title, and that's the only way I could see it and manifest it, rather that's 16 bars, 12, anything that I'm involved, it's that same structure, rather big or small. Right. So that kind of pushed the previous EP and album that I had set to go out for this year to Let Speaker 9. I done did that at least 2-3 times in my career. The fans wouldn't know about it, but, you know, I'm always looking 5-10 years ahead of what record I'm going to put out next. And that popped up, and it was so intertwined to what's happening now. So it was the thought to mention a few things and just, you know, relate myself to let everybody know how I was feeling and just from my perspective. So going into that here again, you know, from Genesis to Revelations, and, you know, taking a look around, you know, it's the first time we've been in a worldwide pandemic like that, to where money don't matter, rocket scientists, doctors, nobody can find the answer. It is whether they know or not. We suffering as a people for that. So I wanted to mention that in the sense of putting everybody's mind, heart, and spirit back toward God and prayer, because that's all we have, and that's all we ever had. Yeah, so yeah, that time.
I know, man. You don't want to speak on something else, man. You also you done took another approach and went another hat now. You got the podcast going, man. The banging832radio.com, which you're doing in Houston, Texas, on Tuesday and Thursday, man.
Absolutely.
I think that's a real slick thing to do right there, especially with you being an artist and you're used to being interviewed. Now it's time for you to, I guess, take the back seat and give other people that platform. You know what I'm saying? So,
Right.
speak about how that came about, man, and what led to that shit, man.
You know, I got family in H-Town. I always had it since birth, that type of thing. So, you know, that Louisiana, Texas connection. But by way of a homeboy, I used to rap with real young, and an older female, you know, his older female cousin or something like that. She had, you know, she's from Baton Rouge, but she moved to H-Town years ago, a couple of decades ago, I want to say, and happened to link with the Rapper Like guys with some friends and family. You know, it's all family oriented all the way around. So, you know, here again, that Louisiana Texas connection by the name of Sean Trey. So I went to her house for a weekend, have a business meeting with a few different people. She do all kind of different administration and management with different artists and so on and so forth. So I went out to H-Town and I was able to meet the people. My guy High Risk, which is the owner of Bangin' 832 Radio, and his lady Southern Belle, which is the main host over there. So they recommended to me to give me another platform to stand on to show people on my other side, opposite of just hearing me on the rap records and a few interviews, was to come in as a radio DJ, as a co-host, you know, with her on a couple of nights, and we'll do like a 5, 6 segment run and see how it come out. I had been offered that probably about a year or two ago in Colorado, well, really probably before that. But anything I'm involved in, I like to give it my all and come out, you know what I mean? At least put my 100%, however it come out. I didn't really feel like I had the time to keep up with that and that schedule, you know, the music thing, you know, you could say 3 o'clock, you know, it might happen 3 hours later. So without, you know, I'm kind of used to living in just, you know, an adaptation form to where whatever, you know, we call back home sleeping ready role, you know what I mean? And just always staying ready, you ain't got to get ready. So I didn't think I could keep up with radio and be on time all the time. You see what I'm saying? Maybe the first few times. But as of now, and as of last month, it's been a year since I've been part of that plateau and platform shots out here again to High with Southern Belle and Sean Trey out there in H-Town. So yes, sir. But like you say, I do like new music Tuesdays, you know, for an hour, 6 p.m. Central Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 4 p.m. Pacific. So every Tuesday and Thursday night, you know, I do at least that hour on the radio to where we bring in new talent, interviews with new artists that's up and coming on the New Music Tuesday. On Thursday, we call it Thursday Throwback Thursday, you know what I mean? And we, you know, I had, you know, a few legends that came through so far, from the Big Mics to Young Mouth, Mercedes, Mr. Servon, you name them. So we try to do that to merge that breeze between young and old, you know what I mean? New music and old music, something old, something new. So yeah, man, shouts out Bangin' 832 Radio.
That's a good look, bro. I appreciate you doing. That's a good look, man. A lot of artists need that platform, especially with an artist who understands the grind. You understand?
Come from it, man. So I know how to go back to it in that sense. Yeah, man.
That's a different look, man. Hey, Bleed, is anything else, man, that the people need to know, man, that you're working on that I didn't mention that the listeners need to know about, man, that you got your hands in? Anything, man. Anything.
Yeah, man. You know, like I say, revitalizing my label, Trapdoor Entertainment, man. Y'all Google that, trapdoorent.com. For all my latest and greatest. Shouts out to my son, Taj Ramon, Mr. Envy, my man Russ, my cousin Brent. So we, you know, we revitalizing the company in that sense. But been putting out a record since Signs and Wonders every 2 weeks, man. So I you know, it's about 22, 23 artists so far. So, you know, we jumped off, you know, with the Signs and Wonders, but going into the new year, you know, we releasing something every couple of weeks, you know, planning for, you know, depending on the COVID, some tours, future tours coming up. But just, you know, that whole plethora and that genre of what you got to do to run a record company. So I'm wearing, you know, at least 2 hats as the CEO of the company. And then, like I say, after the Signs and Wonders is really a prequel to an album I'm doing called Diaries of God that I'm looking to release sometime in February. So I'm working on that as we speak, and doing, you know, a few spot dates around the country, man. So I'm staying busy, man. So y'all stay tuned to that. For people that's on Facebook, you know, go to the Young Bleed fan page. Anybody on Twitter, it's at Real Young Bleed. On Instagram, it's The Real Young Bleed. You know, and all other social media platforms. The records are available. You know what I mean? Here to that. So yeah, man, I'm all over the place, man. Y'all stay tuned.
Man, that's what's up. Y'all heard him, man. Special guest, Young Bleed, man. Again, bro, much love. I appreciate you for tuning in, man, and much success with everything you're doing.
I appreciate you, little one. Yes, sir. Bringing me through. Yes, sir.
Much love.